I've got the siding panels done all the way around the house. So now I'm working on ripping up the trim pieces, and I'm just ripping them out of the cutouts from doors and windows for now. So instead of dragging out a big table saw and having to set it up all the time, I'm just using this rip guide jig just for stuff like this. It does a great job. It keeps the rip consistent. That you may have seen these before, but I'll kind of explain it a little bit. It just has this edge that rides along the edge of the board, and then your saw locks in place, and you can adjust it all the way out to, I think, 24 inches, so you can cut any dimension that you want off of a 4x8 sheet of plywood or whatever. So it works really good for this, and it's nice that I don't have to carry around a big table saw. Okay, so like I said in the last video, I've got these strips cut, and they're just going to slide right in behind here and try to line them up around that window. So now we have that gap filled in. There's just a little bit there. We'll put some caulking in there, right there and there. and that should keep the water out, and it finishes it off, closes up the gaps. All right, I've got all these strips cut, so I'm working on this trim around the top right now. Just got started, so let me get that done real quick. All right, so I mentioned in the previous video that as I was putting this sheet siding on, I was leaving a gap at the top where I could kind of wiggle it back and forth and get it plumb, because I knew this house is not perfectly level and plumb. And so as you can see here on these corners, the sheet siding did not quite come together right, so I have to cover that up. So let me show you what I did. Okay, so just like all the rest of the trim work on this house, I'm just taking the same sheet siding and ripping it into strips, and I wanted a pretty wide, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between this and the other right here, but I wanted kind of a wide covering for that corner. So what I did is I ripped this face is 2 7/8 inches, and this one is 2 1/2. And when you take the 2 1/2 and then add the thickness of the material, you get 2 7/8 on both of these. And then I just took my crown stapler, which has really small but long staples, and I stapled these two pieces together into one. And so that's what I'm going to do on all these corners. I'll have them already made into the corner piece, and then I can just put them on that corner like that, and it will cover from both sides. And because they're already nailed together, any imperfections in the wall should be hidden. So let me get that done and see how that looks. Just like that, these gnarly corners are gone. So we're getting close. Got most of the windows trimmed out. Got all that top and bottom trim done. And then come back, I got to rip a bunch of pieces that will run vertically up and down every 12 or 16 inches. So we're going for a board and batten look on this. It's simulated, so these sheets make it a lot easier, but it'll look like an old farmhouse. So that's kind of what we're going for. Not the original kind of siding, but this is what we decided on, and I think it'll look great when it's done. So y'all should be thankful for my wife, who is always asking me to explain things, because I forget, and then I get home and she wants to know, well, what is that one? How does that work? And why did you do that way? So I want to talk about real quick this siding that we used. Like I said before, it's a sheet siding, but I'm putting the battens on over it to simulate a board and batten look, which, for those of you that don't know, back in the old days they would actually use like 1x12s or 1x16s or 20s or whatever they had, and they would run them vertically, and then the battens were just small strips of 1.5 inch, 2 inch, whatever they wanted, and that would cover the seams and help keep the wind and water out. And that became kind of a popular look with old farmhouses. So that's what we're doing here, is we'll have these strips that cover these main seams, and then every 16 inches here we'll have another one, and it'll, as you can see, I didn't nail out here on this wall so these still have a little bit of flex to them, but once I get those battens on and nail through them into the studs underneath, it'll pull that in and take any kind of waviness out. But this product is from a company called LP Smart Side, or a product, I guess, more so. It's I can't remember the parent company's name, but it's the same company that makes Advantech subflooring, which has a waterproof or water resistant adhesive that they use. It's an engineered wood product, which is like chipboard, but they use a water resistant glue in it, and so even if the water does penetrate through this pre-primed finish, it is supposed to not permeate into the wood, and so that helps and keep it waterproof. And so I think it's going to be a good product for this. Once we get all these seams on, we get the battens on, and then everywhere here we will caulk along every joint on this thing with a good quality stretchable caulking, and then put a good coat of paint on this thing, and I think we'll be waterproof, and I don't think we'll have any issues for a very long time. Alright, so here's the update for the week. This side is pretty well finished. Got all the battens on there, so gives us an idea of what this house is going to look like. I'll work on the front next week, get that done. I also have finally got windows purchased for the upstairs dormers. So next week I will be getting those cut out, get the windows put in. I can get that all wrapped up, and this outside is going to be finished next week. So I'm looking forward to getting moving to the inside. This thing now looks so good on the outside and so ugly on the inside. It really needs some work. It's, you know, there's people like that. They look really good on the outside, they're not so good on the inside. But we're gonna work on that, and we'll get this thing fixed up, and it's gonna be looking good inside and out. So I thank you for following along. I know I've had several new people in the last week or so, and so welcome to the channel. Thanks for following along. Hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you next week.